been incredibly strong. Obviously, as we've talked about already, very high damage meta, so Catherine's bubble is incredibly strong.
Stormguard bubble does so much reflect damage when there's just so much damage getting thrown around in the middle of a team fight. You know, if you even if you accidentally target her, or if you just are throwing an AoE that you can't avoid targeting her on, it just means your team is going to be taking a lot of punishment in return. So a lot of teams just liking to get her off the table and just not have to worry about it. And we did also see Anka get banned away as well, so no CP Assassin Anka going to be coming through, but we will get a Kinetic.
Importantly, Yates available right now, so we could finally see him come out in the grand final. It'll certainly be a good spot to make an appearance. Finn being hovered though as the first pickup here, and Finn has been incredibly high priority. Just great, obviously seeing everything, but also soaking some of that damage.
Yeah, and again, because of the changes to Crucible, Finn has become so much more effective, because now if you throw out that hook and it gets blocked, you will have multiple opportunities to throw that hook, to throw that hook again before the Crucible is off cooldown.
Absolutely, it's going to be a Baron locked in as well, so we'll see how that's going to work out for them, because typically when we see the Baron or the Celeste, we see a full dive composition immediately locked in on the other side. Idris is going to be one of those lock-ins along with an Arden, so Truth could have a hard time on this Baron, but he's an accomplished player.
Yeah, and you have the ability to use those jump jets to get out of a sticky situation if you're quick enough with it. So I wouldn't be too concerned about the Baron, but we're going to get the Yates finally coming on in the finals. LostBoyToph's team being the first squad that will get their hands on this hero.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how they use this. Obviously, that global ultimate as well.
I want to see if it's going to be that weapon power Yates, or if they'll go for the kind of more tanky and bruisery type build. I would expect to see it done as a carry, because everyone is building carries, but I hope that it is going to be that weapon power Yates trying to split push and then having the freedom to join a team fight partway through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Yates' tank was pretty good last patch, but I think the nerfs to tanks in general have made it so his carry build path is a lot scarier right now. Yep. But I'm willing to be proven wrong. Maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree here. We'll have to wait and see what Toph's team want to do with that one. Neonfire going to lock in the Lance here. We could have a Lorelei around this sound just to try and protect his team.
Yeah, I would be a little surprised to see the Lorelei, although it could also end up being the CP Lorelei, just to have that crystal power, because Idris, while Idris can go crystal power, a lot of players are building him as the weapon power route right now because of how strong the tension bow currently is and his ability to dive onto the back line and assassinate someone. So we'll have to see what this last pick is going to be, and where LostBoyToph wants to go with this. If they want to get something a little bit more tanky as well, to kind of
accommodate the rest of the team, soak up some of that damage. It's going to be a glaive.
Was actually the word I was looking for.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sorry I didn't read your mind on that one, but it is going to be a glaive locked in as the final pick. Relatively tanky, especially if you build them so. Can just be built pretty much as an assassin as well, though. Yeah. So we'll see what kind of style they go for. Honestly, a couple of the picks on the side of Toph are kind of multi-pronged attacks here. They could go in different routes, so I'm curious to see how that one's going to pan out.
Yeah, I expect to see them kind of try and use this Yates to split push a lot, but the glaive can also fill that role as well. But I would expect to see glaive used more as the initiation. Start a team fight off with the glaive and the Finn, and then have Yates use that ultimate to jump on in, give everyone that extra bit of barrier so that they can survive the team fights and try and swing things in their favor.
Absolutely. Don't forget, we're about to jump into our grand final here. Let me remind you who is playing for this prize. We've got LostBoyToph right here. He is an old school champion. He has won tournaments. He's ready to jump in and hopefully win another tournament. He's up against Oldskool in this matchup, and Oldskool, definitely no stranger to victory.
Yeah, absolutely not. Has so many accolades that he's won over the years, including the first unified champion in Vainglory history. So he's no stranger to firsts either.
Absolutely not. It's time that we jump into our grand final for the VPL Fantasy All-Stars. I'm going to pass it over to Humanistic Scoundrel to kick this one off.
Welcome to your final series of the day for your VPL Fantasy All-Stars. Top squads are in here, ready to go. I'm Humanist, joined by a Scoundrel. and we have got the best teams ready to duke things out.
Yeah, the two best teams on the weekend, Oldskool versus LostBoyToph. And you can see Oldschool's team, Delphi, has locked in Yates. First time we're going to see this guy. He is the newest hero available in this particular tournament. I believe Inara is currently unavailable to play, so Yates is that newest one on the rise. And it looks like Delphi going to be running him, maybe running him a weapon power variant, which I think does work pretty well, to be honest. It really synergizes well with Yates' kit, especially his heroic perk. Really looking forward to seeing this guy. One of those first true global ultimates in terms of direct impact as well.
I mean, it feels pretty strong. I'm excited to see what we can see, or what we can see Delphi do with it here today. But you already saw, using that Wolf's Maw to secure that jungle camp there. You pull that over the wall, your enemy's not going to get that far out of position to contest that camp. You can do some really cheeky things.
Yeah, it's one of the minor things that I think that Yates brings to the table. I really think there's a lot more in terms of his ability to impact several lanes, his ability to find individual picks really easily. He's honestly just like a better Churnwalker for that. I mean, Churnwalker's like hooking ability is fairly low key, and he really just has a single target Fin ultimate on lower cooldown, and also is just as devastating because it isolates someone. It's just like the true. I mean, you know from Dota 2 Pudge, right? He's just like Pudge, and everybody hates Pudge in Dota 2. So it's a similar
a lot
thing.
of people love Pudge. So
I mean, Pudge is annoying.
Go with that hate talk over there.
I mean, Pudge is annoying to play against, and Yates is the same thing. Like if you get hooked by a Pudge, you know you're donezo basically. If you get hooked by a Yates, it's probably a similar thing.
It's like, you know how I like to describe it. It just changes the way that everybody has to play the game. I don't think that it's broken in the sense of like, yeah, you can't outplay it, but it changes the way you have to be positioned. Right here, right now, this looks like it could be 2 kills going the way of Team LostBoyToph, though, as Hammy drops low, going to the south, Gaspy to the north. Hammy gets himself out of there. Gaspy should die? No, splash down, giving him a little bit of move speed, but Lost Boy cuts off his retreat. Lost Boy ready to secure first blood for his team, and they strike first.
Deceived there again, right place, right time. He's really been the silent MVP for LostBoyToph's team, and they're not allowing that time to Oldskool to scale. That's something that Oldschool's team did time and time again. They isolate Oldskool with that pull, and again, it is exactly as you said. It's a playstyle change. Vision is really important. You have to maintain vision in blind spots. You have to be ready to juke to the side. It is quite hard to juke Yates' pull, I'm not going to lie. Out of all the MOBAs that I've played in my life, it is one of the most obnoxious pulls I've ever had to deal with.
It's really fast animation, yeah.
Yeah, very fast animation. Shaded Talent is going to get isolated by Suki, but nothing more is going to come of that situation as he's able to back out.
Have you seen anybody do like Forced Accord into the Wolf's Maw for like the super double pull?
You mean like massive isolate pull, you know, like literally like...
Yeah, like one guy stands in the base and one guy stands like halfway there and you just pull.
No, but I feel like that's something that we should see happen.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't mean to get too fancy, but like a pull into an afterburn knockback, you could have someone wondering, where am I?
I think I watched a YouTube video. It might have been like a Jinko or a Gatorex YouTube video where they had like some specific blitz talents, I think, and they were just like knocking people all the way back to the base. I think it was like the Arden talent and like Afterburn on really low cooldown. They were just doing it specifically to troll people into the fountain. It was really funny. So
like
you know, something like that could happen with Yates. He adds a little bit of flavor to that matchup.
Definitely a little bit of extra flavor here in this matchup, and you know, this is what we should expect here in the finals of this weekend, as these teams really coming into their own. There's the pullback from the Wolf's Maw, as they find another kill for the LostBoyToph squad, putting themselves up 2-0 5 minutes in.
I'm almost certain that if you just aim that skill shot properly, it's almost impossible to dodge. I think it's one of those ones where it just feels very impossible to dodge it.
And you have to have a very quick mobility skill, right? Like I think if you have Afterburn and finger on the trigger, you can dodge it. But other than that,
I mean, if you have the instant blink as well from the Idris, then for sure.
Delphi one-on-one with Hammy. Hammy has the healing flask, throws the chakram, doesn't connect, but the Vanguard's through. Gaspy just in time, but Hammy either didn't want to play games or just didn't see it coming.
No, but Delphi now, both of them who use their flask here have to be careful because Delphi is a little bit vulnerable down in this bottom lane. He is working towards a Sorrow Blade, so maybe we're going to see, well, not even a Sorrow Blade, I reckon we'll see a Spell Sword come out of Delphi. He does the same on his glaive. I guess most importantly is reducing the cooldown on that A ability, and so make sure you have it up and available as often as possible. So I definitely think that Delphi's going to be playing a cooldown style weapon power carry again, and you just feel with the utility that Yates offers, that's far too important to pass up.
Yeah, you'd imagine you'd want to be jumping around the map as often as possible. Gaspy, he'd like to jump somewhere because Suki just knocked him under that turret. Did that turret bug out there, or was that just me?
I couldn't possibly comment. I was looking on the other side of the map where Delphi has managed to isolate Lance, and they get the kill over to Truth.
Yep. Well, action on both sides of the map. Felt like maybe Gaspy got away for free on the bottom side, but you know, slowly but surely we're having some action trickle in here. Hammy almost going down. Will go ahead and dance his way back. Deceived has the angle, activates the boots, but Hammy has boots of his own. Pull back! Ion Cannon won't connect, but Suki is there with another afterburn of his own. This is going to put LostBoyToph squad up 5-1. Back to the top lane. Delphi dropping low. Charge Pulse is there, and a double kill comes on through. Oldskool going ham with the help of Shaded Talent.
I think if Oldskool gets the kills here, that's exactly what you want. He is going to be that primary carry alongside Hammy on the Idris, but Oldskool definitely needs to get a bit of gold funneled onto him because everybody else on the team, although you see them build weapon power, you're seeing them go a bit aggressive, they are really primarily there to provide that space for Oldskool in these teamfight situations. And with no direct assassin, although Glaive could partially be considered one, he's gone the Spell Sword build, so he's not going to be dealing like insane damage. I think that that is the sort of the game plan that you want to play here. Create space for Oldskool and also for Hammy where you can, while still maintaining a significant damage threat, which both an Arden and a Lance will do. And then the teamfight zonal control that Shaded Talent on this Lorelei is going to provide means that Oldskool should be untouched for the most part in these teamfights.
The thing about it is, though, I mean, yeah, you've got... Oh, hold that. Suki, defensive afterburn, trying to get away. Fish food does connect. Suki, couple right... I was going to say a couple of auto attacks might add up and take him down. He's able to get himself out of there. But the thought is, I mean, I think you make a lot of good points, and you're worried about Oldskool, you're worried about Hammy, but what if Gaspy's left alone just to get onto this Baron? Just, you know, you get a couple attacks, suddenly Baron's sitting at half health, he doesn't want to commit, things get awkward.
That's what I mean about creating space, right? You know, the Arden is going to be a threat in terms of damage onto Gaspy, onto the Truth on this Baron. So Arden is going to be a threat, which means Arden has to respect where he is placed in the team fight. He has to respect the Arden. You can't just walk straight past him because he will wail on you with that tension bow blood for blood hit. And that space naturally creates areas of the team fight that it is okay for Oldskool to go into because his primary threats that he's got to be worried about, you know, especially with these low HP values, is going to be that Baron. We're going to fight in the mid lane, though.
Oldskool pulled by the Force to Court, and then the Wolfsmaw pulling Gaspy back means that LostBoyToph squad not able to couple up their abilities like they would have enjoyed. It definitely would have gotten a kill for sure, I feel like, if they had coupled those up. So swinging the missile on that one, but a little bit of time for Team Oldskool to breathe here, and they continue to just farm.
That's what they need to do, though. The longer they can keep their outer turrets alive, the longer they can keep this mid lane up and going, the better it is for Oldskool in general. And you can see a lot of LostBoyToph team grouping in that mid lane, grouping to try and take that mid lane turret to open the map up, to be able to create control on the weapon power side jungle of Oldskool, to be able to then go for things like the Ghost Wing. As Suki overextends just a little bit here, is forced back with that insane damage coming from Gaspy.
Yeah, Gaspy. He's quite a chunky little guy down there in that bottom river. You can see that the Glaive wanted nothing of it, but Suki he can always afford to trade like that as long as he's got the afterburn. Just defensively afterburn out of there, you're not going to be in any trouble. He also wanted to get back to bottom lane just to kind of stall out any push that was happening from Hammy. But right now, this is Team Oldskool moving up. They're looking to find a fight in the jungle. Gauntlet thrown down by Gaspy. They'll instantly find one. Looking for more. Hammy diving in deep. Delphi will stay alive. They switch over to Deceived. Deceived pretty tanky. Boots himself under the safety of that turret. His Truth jumps right into a fish food. Perfectly placed out of Shaded Talent.
They should be able to push onto this mid lane tier 1 now. And despite the damage reduction, they should be able to get enough onto it Here comes the ultimate from Yeats, though.
Delphi, oh, just jumping into his own
dead.
demise. Double kill coming through for Kinetic. It's a triple kill for Oldskool. Captain of the squad, putting it all together.
Yeah, and this is just what happens with the Kinetic when you let her run away with things. Oldskool's had all of the farm funneled onto him as well. 112 CS for this guy, working towards his tension bow, which is going to help him rip through some of that front line as well. Oldskool is the man in this game, and he is well in control.
We already knew Oldskool was the man, but it's confirmed he is the man in this game. Looks like he could be the man of this tournament, really.
Yeah, he's definitely looking pretty solid still. Retained every bit of skill that he had from previous competitive Vainglory seasons. And you can see now with the tension bow finish, the weapon power infusion in tow, this should be a good time for Oldschool's team to gear up and go for these objectives that are on them. Deceive's just surely dead.
Deceive eventually does go down. Oldskool, just too much damage to handle. Even the front line just getting chunked through. I was actually watching bottom as Hammy now able to go toe-to-toe with this glaive. So Suki has really fallen off only 12 minutes in, and it feels like Team Oldskool is starting to run away with this game one.
Yeah, and also because of the bot side map control they've got, although Neon Fire is definitely struggling versus Truth on the top side, every other global objective right now is going in favor of Oldschool's team. And whilst you are putting a lot of pressure on this top side of the map, it's not actually going to net you anything if you can't convert it into global pressure. 4,000 gold right now in favor of Oldskool, and he is just roaming across this bottom side of the map, taking away the jungle. Now they're going to potentially collapse down towards Suki on this glaive, and they might be able to get a turret out of this push.
Is Deceived going to have to be forced to itemize against this Kinetic, who's currently just tearing him up?
Yeah, I feel like, well, I think specifically Suki's going to need an Atlas Pauldrons. I think Deceived could potentially do with some armor for sure. I don't know whether it's better to go for Metal Jacket or Atlas Pauldrons here. I think given the mobility of the Kinetic, it's probably better to go for Metal Jacket so you get that basic attack damage reduction. That is a kill. That is Suki going down. I am a little bit keeping my eye on the top side of the map with Neon Fire versus Truth of Light 2.
Yeah, that's just going to be a turret push up and top. Free of charge, Neon Fire, not much he can do. Maybe just play games and look for an impale as they look to TP on out of here. Neon Fire is on Delphi. Truth stopped his port back. This is a bit awkward. Looks like they will get Neon Fire, so they juggle that one around a little bit to find one. But now, oh, the port out right in front of Shaded Talent and Oldschool's face. They definitely would have died had they been caught back down to bottom. Delphi jumps in. He's going to secure one for his team, moving forward, looking for Gatsby, but it looks like Gatsby may have squirted out just far enough down to the south.
Not only did his ultimate get him out of that situation, he jumped into another fight where he actually had an impact and picked up that kill.
Can we get that footage over to Ciderhelm so he can redo the spotlight with that footage?
Yeah, that right there was Delphi just illustrating why Yates is just so good. Oldskool now the threat being put onto him by Toph and Suki as they push forwards. They know that it's a 4 versus 2 situation, and they are not afraid to push their advantage here.
Net worth advantage over to Team Oldskool currently, but kills tied 8-8. As far as objectives, you see those bottom turrets on the side of Team LostBoyToph down. LostBoyToph, speaking of being down, he's just deleted. Delphi immediately decides to try and run. Can he get himself out of this? Feels like there's a good chance he's about to get caught running down this river. Look for the impale, dodge it out. He throws the overwhelm, not going to need it as they'll go ahead and pull off. They got a Black Claw to take care of Scoundrel.
Yeah, this is a risky Black Claw take. There's the ultimate over the wall.
That was a thing of beauty. Gatsby flexes. Truth goes down. Delphi almost died to the wall, which was dropped right on their heads. Deceived will fall. And continue your thought, my man.
I mean, the thought is now defunct because of that ultimate. I'm pretty sure what happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Hammy ultimate Gatsby to then get delivered over the wall into a gauntlet? I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I think Hammy ultimated Gatsby. So
you lost me at did Hammy.
I'm pretty sure Hammy used the Idris ultimate onto his ally, which you can do, Arden.
Yeah.
And as Arden went over the wall with Gauntlet, then Hammy was released. That was clean right there. You get stuck in that Gauntlet with Hammy. Goes absolutely popping off there. Really nice zonal.
It's only the guys like Gatsby and Hammy that are going to be making these kinds of plays, you know? They're in the building, they're feeling themselves, and making the stylish plays as well as looking to secure a victory. They're in the bottom of your base, Team LostBoyToph. Time to make some plays. Wolfsmaw will be able to pull one back. It's Delphi. Delphi has set up his team, but taking the most damage so far. It's able to take down Gatsby. They need to be careful here, though, because this could easily be flipped on its head. Team Oldskool makes the call to go ahead and get out after losing Gatsby. So a 1-for-1 trade there.
Yeah, 1-for-1, and actually they defended their armory too, so not the worst result in the world. The Wolfsmar did go on to Hammy. Hammy also able to use that ultimate to keep him safe in those situations. So even if he gets pulled, he can buy himself some time for his team to be able to rile up on that. Really, you want that Lance and Arden to be just soaking that front line. You want them to be body blocking your carries so that no one can get isolated, or no one important can get isolated by that Yates pull. Just imagine if Oldskool gets pulled into one of these team fights. That's pretty much the win condition for Oldskool's team out the window there.
I imagine it, but then I imagine Oldskool just blocking it, so...
It's true, it's true.
That's how that process went. Hammy chasing down Lost Boy. He's got him isolated in the jungle, and Lost Boy, he is just melting here. A Shimmer Strike will buy time for Hammy to stay alive. What more fight breaks out on the other side of the map? This is Team Lost Boy just getting murked. Gatsby jumps in with a blood for blood. We'll be able to find another one. It's a 3-for-1 trade after those two fights break out simultaneously, and Team Oldskool comes out on top once again.
Yeah, not many minion waves to work with right now. They could rotate to bot and take the armory for free, but it looks like Suki is already down there using Glaive to clear that out. They're going to try and work with this mid lane minion wave and push up towards the armory turret and the choke point turret in the mid lane, but they don't have those death timers that are going to be helping to secure that, so they need to be a little bit careful, especially as Hammy does not have teleport boots and will not be able to rejoin this fight, and everybody is up and available for LostBoyToph.
Let's see if they're going to actually engage here, as you do see Truth, Delphi, and Suki looking for some place to engage. Now, Wolfsmaw did come over the wall, but it must have been a blind one thrown. Steve moves into front position, potentially looking for a forced accord. I do feel like he can't be 100% all the way in front of his team to pull. Like, he has to be a little bit back to make sure that everybody's still able to completely engage.
I think so, for sure.
Look for the pull. Give me a blind pull. Oh, they drop a scout cam. They see Shaded Talon.
Ooh, they almost went by Hammy, though.
They could jump over the wall, yeah. That's the smart play, but come on. That felt right.
Ghostwing is the call now, and this is going to be the last chance saloon right now for LostBoyToph's team.
Wolfsmaw blocked off. Gatsby taking mad damage. Jumps back, drops the fearful gauntlet. I don't know about that. Truth taking a lot of damage from Hammy. Hammy able to take him down. Team Oldskool has the advantage. They've taken 2 from Team LostBoyToph. Delphi isolated. He goes to pull up with the ult, but no. Delphi stayed alive. He jumped back to base. That's the play you're looking for. Suki stays alive as well, but their team just gets torn apart.
Ghostwing will be taken very quickly right now by Oldschool's team. They might be able to then return to base, reset, go for Blackclaw, and take a Blackclaw off the map straight away. That should be able to use it to push for victory. This is now ramping back in favor of Oldschool's team. It looked a little bit shaky towards the early game, but they've managed to take control of these team fights, and Oldschool is untouched. Like we said, from analyzing these team comps, it's very difficult to isolate Oldskool and actually put pressure on him without an assassin. He is 12-0-1 right now.
He's going off 12-0-1. Captain and Commander over here making it happen. He wants that $2 grand, walking away with some money in his pocket after getting the trip to Vegas. This guy is a proven winner, and with this Blackclaw, there is a very good chance that they're going to end it on this push right here, right now. Truth. He says, I'm going to make you work for it, as he pops this fresh infusion. Level 12 infusions on Delphi and Truth. Now there's a pullback. It's Neon Fire, not the target they were really looking for. Forced Accord. We'll find 2. It's the jump in by Suki with an afterburn, but he's taking more damage than they're dishing out. It's time to collapse back and kite back. Truth trying to apply the damage, but they've lost Suki. Truth back to the healing platform, stays alive, but just barely. Lost Boy will go down. That's a double kill coming through for the Lance. Oldskool cleans up the 4th kill for his team in this fight. Truth stayed alive, but couldn't dish out the damage, as Team Oldskool will take game 1 in this series.
Oh, baby, that is the true comparison between a Baron and a Kinetic. I genuinely feel that Baron needs 4 items to fully take use of how good his late game potential is, that does open you up to the risk of not having the mixed defensive items anymore, which makes it riskier to go for 4-item carry potential. But on 3 items alone, Kinetic is superior in my mind in terms of late game carry potential. Right now, though, there was no way to kill Kinetic, no real assassin threat coming out from the side of Lost Boys team, and it is 1-0 to Oldskool.
Well, the only real threats here are the dangerous looks of Tasty Bacon and Munchables back over at the desk.
What a game coming out from Oldskool's squad there. My name is Munchables. I'm joined by Tasty Bacon, and we're joined on the desk once again by Xenotech and Starboy to help us break that one down. And the Yates finally locked in, but doesn't manage to get a win in the end. I mean, is Yates just a terrible pick, I guess?
No, definitely not. He's pretty tight.
Yeah, pretty strong. But let's take a look at what you guys have been saying, because these guys had a pretty entertaining matchup just before our grand final. And I know you guys at home were loving it. Hashtag stop Chuck abuse. I mean, Starboy, the plan for that game was definitely an interesting one. You said it was going to be just, kill Chuck over and over?
Basically, we thought of it like this. If we can take out the weakest link, we can take the game. Didn't end up panning out because they executed their win condition equally as well, so. It happens.
That win condition being literally run away.
So, Xenotech, when did you guys realize that it was going to be just all about Chuck and that you would have to basically win the game without him?
No, see, like, we scrimmed Lang's team months ago, and it was just like, this is what they did every game. And I was like, they're going to pull this out. And we knew it, so we all said, Chuck, buy boots. And we won every game.
And many boots were bought. That's definitely true. So let's get back on track for talking about the final, because Oldskool now 1-0 up. He's 1 game away from managing to take away that prize pool. Talk to me a little bit about what happened in that game, Xenotech. Was there one player on Oldskool's squad that really stood out above the rest?
On Oldskool's team, I would definitely say that Hammy and Oldskool played absolutely phenomenal. Like, the entire squad played very cohesive, but like Hammy got onto Baron every team fight and just obliterated him super fast. So like, huge shout out to Hammy on knowing his win condition.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
there were so many fights where it was Hammy just kind of diving in on the backline. It's like no one else is around him, and he's just diving into the backline, using Idris's mobility to kind of dodge away from things. So Starboy, like, what do you think it was like? Was Hammy the crux of this, or was it really just more of a team effort overall?
I think it's obviously part of both, but Hammy was going crazy in some of those fights. You'd see it would look like it was going one way, that they weren't going to be able to pull it out, and then Hammy would dive in. You see 3 people die.
Yeah, I mean, Hammy was tearing people apart in that game on Idris. But don't forget, you guys at home can watch and win here in the Vainglory Premier League Fantasy All-Stars Tournament. Right now, we've got giveaways going on in the chat, and we will do for the rest of the tournament as well. Get involved in Twitch chat. We are giving away gift cards, we're giving away ice. It's all happening right now, so make sure that you're getting involved in the chat and getting on in for those. But across the course of this entire tournament, not just this weekend, across the rest of them as well, we'll be giving more stuff away. But that's not the only thing that's being given away. There is a prize on the line right now, and Oldskool is 1 win away from grabbing himself that $2,000.
Yeah, he is very, very close from securing that for his team. But obviously, LostBoyToph is going to be trying to turn it around, trying to push us to a full 3-game set. And that's obviously, I think, what a lot of us would love to see, that turnaround, just to get more Vainglory action on the stream.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, let's break that game down a little bit more and talk about these teams as we move towards the second game of the final. I want to talk about Suki, because they've been kind of subbing in and out on the side of LostBoyToph, but Suki has been having a fantastic day of games here.
Yeah, definitely. Like, as Suki tweeted out that captains are going to regret not picking him up. I think that just from playing against him so much in rank Q, he's an absolute mechanical monster, and I think that he's going to bring out this game 2 and bring that dub in for Toph.
It could well happen.
And with Suki obviously being one of these 3 players that Toph drafted that were kind of the lesser known players coming into this, obviously Xenotech and LostBoyToph have encountered these guys in queue. You haven't necessarily encountered them in queue as frequently. So just of those three, of Deceived, Maurice the Beast, and Suki, which one of those three has impressed you the most?
Maurice the Beast, man. He's the beast.
Well, he is undefeated. He has
He
not
is.
lost a game here today.
That's very true. He is absolutely the beast right now. But let's talk about the other side as well. I know, Starboy, you were impressed by specifically Oldschool's performance during that game. I think he had a phenomenal position as carrier.
Yeah, he's always very dominant in his lane. It honestly just looks oppressive for the other side. Obviously, it was kind of a back and forth game, but Oldskool, when he gets going, he's crazy.
I mean, as we've talked about before on the desk, he is a terrifying Vox player, one of the best in the world, self-proclaimed best in the world.
Fox hasn't really been seen too much though, so maybe he's gonna be moving away from that. I mean, last game Kinetic, at one point he was 11-0-2 or something at like the 11-minute mark. He's putting up just incredible numbers.
Yeah, Kinetic has been incredibly strong this tournament in general. Let's take a look at what's going to be happening in our grand final, though, so we can take a look at our lineups that we're going to have. So we've got, obviously, LostBoyToph going to be in this squad. This is the full lineup available to these guys. They've got Truth of Light, we've got Delphi, we've got Deceived One, Maurice the Beast, and Suki. And obviously, we haven't spoken to them just yet before this game. They're preparing for this one. We don't know who's going to be playing on the map.
Yeah, they could be subbing in any one of these players. They could be swapping things around, changing things up with who's going to be playing what role. And after coming off a loss, you will have to wonder. That's kind of the best time when you would expect a change to be made.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if they are going to change things up. But on the other side, Oldschool's full roster going to be himself, Hammy, Shaded Talent, Neon Fire, Gatsby, and the Final Phase. Final Phase is yet to see any play, unfortunately. I feel bad for the guy at this point, but regardless, if Oldschool wins, he still gets a cut of that prize pool. So he can't be too upset with the situation. I mean, it's literally turn up and win a bunch of cash, right?
I mean, if he showed up, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't even know if he has shown up. He could just be sitting there watching the stream, entering those giveaways, trying to be like Chuck and Hammy and get some extra prizes.
Eating the popcorn, just enjoying his time. He knows that he's getting paid. I mean, like, you guys have actually been swapping out the subs though. Like, do you feel like you're happy with your final roster in the end? You feel like you're happy with the substitutions you made?
Yeah, absolutely. I think each of the players had their own individual strengths, and we were able to highlight those and show them out today.
Absolutely. Well, let's get on into the draft for this next game, because everything is on the line now for LostBoyToph. Oldskool
Could potentially be our final game of the day. So we'll take a look at what the bans are going to be targeted here. Looks like Kinetic getting taken off the board right away. So obviously, LostBoyToph's team feeling like that is the biggest threat that has been shown today.
Yeah, with Chernwalker taken off the board as well. I mean, you guys, you've been drafting all day. What are the big bans for you right now in the current meta?
I mean, like, Churnwalker's just a really safe band. Why people are taking away, like, the Kinetic is so they don't get, like, Kinetic Silver now and all that kind of annoying.
Now, the one thing that we've been seeing the Finn all throughout the day, and we were talking to you guys during that last game and saying, Finn's probably one of the best supports right now because he has that fortified health. Why aren't we seeing Finn get banned?
I just think there's too many heroes that are a higher priority to ban that are way more dangerous. I mean, Finn is really good, but I don't think the support is the priority for most of the drafts, except for possibly Yates. Yates has been banned a lot, but I think that's the only support that would really be a priority to ban.
I don't know, dude. Yates, 0% win rate in the whole tournament.
So are you saying, so obviously we've had the Churnwalker banned away a lot. Would you ban Churnwalker or Finn before Churnwalker, or would you keep the Churnwalker as a ban and keep letting the Finn go through?
No, I think I'd still let the Finn go through because Churnwalker, if he gets paired with like high DPS heroes, he's actually really, really scary because he does a ton of AoE damage. Yeah, I definitely think Churn is a higher priority.
I mean, what do you guys think of instant lock-ins coming there from the B side? But what do you think of the Silvernail pick? Because it's something that I was begging people to lock in back in the Summer Open, and now we're seeing quite a lot of it, especially on Oldschool's team. Now it's going to be Toph taking it away from him. What are the strengths of Silvernail versus some of the other weapon power carriers?
I mean, Silvernail, like, provides so much CC. Like, he can pilfer himself really easy. Like, obviously, if they get on top of him, he dies basically instantly. But with all the tripwires, that's like a slow and a silence put into one ability, which is just insane. So he lays that down and just walks around it. And by the time you can actually get on top of him, usually his support comes in and saves him. And then his damage output's absolutely broken right now.
Yeah, the double shots are just terrifying.
Now, one of the heroes that we've been seeing, either picked or banned pretty much every game is also this Anka. Obviously everyone's building the weapon power carries. Anka's one of the few crystal carries that's been consistently, showing up in these drafts. Well, how do you deal with an Anka when you have just nothing but offensive heroes on your side?
You pray. You cross your fingers and hope to God she doesn't come for you. It's Anka, man.
Okay, well, confident strategy there from Starboy. Definitely, I mean, doesn't have the greatest laning phase, so I think that's the biggest thing you got to exploit when it comes to Anka, right? Especially in that early game, just try and punish her before she can get rolling.
I mean,
Easier said than done, though.
yeah, like way easier said than done because like usually Anka's put in the jungle right now, so usually it doesn't matter, and they'll try and put a really
Try and build up support for that character as well, yeah, and
yeah,
see
exactly.
if they can protect them. Let's just have a reminder as well of how today has been going so far. We're currently in the grand finals between LostBoyToph and Oldskool. You can see them 2 apiece on the scoreboard. We'll be getting this draft reset for you guys, but earlier on we also had our 3rd place match between you guys. It was Xenotech that managed to take the win in the end. Unfortunately, the dive chuck only strategy didn't quite work out for Starboy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I mean, we tried our best at the end of the day, had some fun.
I mean, it was definitely a fun game. It was probably the most fun game we've had.
Chuck did have the worst KDA of anybody on his team, to be fair.
Honestly,
Potentially even of the day.
Probably.
Probably the worst KDA of the day. So if that was the goal, then mission accomplished for the side of Starboy's team. But we are going to be getting getting the players back into finishing up that draft as quickly as we can. Obviously, again, small technical hiccups that are unfortunately not really avoidable right now with the way the 5-5 draft is. But as soon as those players can get back in, we will be getting that game together.
yeah, we should be able to get that one rolling. But so far, I mean, let's talk back about game number 1. Obviously, you guys both played against Oldskool earlier today. He's 1-0 up in this series. What is it about him and his squad that has had the edge across the whole course of the tournament?
So I definitely say Oldskool is like just a really phenomenal player in general, but it also his team is made up of players that have all played together on different rosters or on a current roster, and so they already have synergy built up. So that was his whole strategy in the drafting, as he said, and it's worked out really well for him.
Yeah, so kind of go for almost a pre-built team at that stage. I mean, moving on into future weeks, I imagine you guys are going to be signing up. I'm just going to put you on the spot there, but is that a strategy that you think other captains should start to employ? Do you think that was the biggest factor in there?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I think there are risks to it. Honestly, that was the strategy that I wanted, but it doesn't work out if they're like high priority picks. Like I wanted starting Truth and Delphi, but I mean, they're gonna get picked.
It's
They're
definitely
good players, so yeah, it's like kind of a high risk, high reward, I would say, because if you do get the players that you want, you're obviously gonna have a really stacked team, but if you don't, I mean, it doesn't pan out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys at home want to be one of the players that is pickable, make sure you sign up now. At Vainglory Esport on Twitter is where that registration link lies. It's about time we get on into this matchup. We're jumping into the 2nd game of this grand final between Oldskool and LostBoyToph. I'm going to pass it back over to Humanist and Excoundrel to get into game number 2.
Let's get ready to rumble in what could be our final match of the day here for the VPL Fantasy All-Stars Week 1. Once again, I'm Humanist, joined by Excoundrel, and LostBoyToph setting up some stakes here in the mid lane.
Yeah, just looking to be able to connect those if a fight would occur, run them together. Interesting that he'd start that over his caustic cluster, because to be honest, it's just better for trading potential to go for the caustic. It resets your heroic perk and also just deals that damage over time. I guess the zonal control was really important there, but I don't see a situation where that's actually benefited him starting this particular ability first.
Well, it sure felt good from where I was sitting over here. It was quite visually pleasing.
Well, sometimes that's all you need, you know? Sometimes just having that visual gratification is the most important thing.
Absolutely, and really coming to fruition here in the early game of match 2 in this final series. You know, these two teams have worked hard to get here, and they surely want to walk away with the W. Do you know the prize pool breakdown on first versus second place?
I don't. I just thought it was I thought it was first, just literally got
Winner take
got
all?
of it. I thought it was
Yeah.
winner take all, to be honest, but I'm not totally sure. If I'm honest, I'll have to wait for Joe Munchables Fenny to be able to break that down for us when we get back to the desk.
Did you turn into
What?
a robot halfway through your sentence there?
Joe Munchables Fenny.
Joe Munchables Fenny. His text to speech. If I had a good text to speech, I probably wouldn't need a co-caster, if I'm being real.
No, I think that's for sure. I could just type in the words for you.
We should get on that. That's a real opportunity for somebody. But, you know, back into this game here, once again, look at these stakes just being placed down. Basically, like, just beautiful, almost like Razer being sponsored in the middle of this map here.
Yeah, I mean, the green, it's really nice. It kind of reminds me of a Razer phone. The most powerful gaming device that fits in your hand. You know, that's what a Razer phone is. And this weird myriad of green and murals in the middle of the mid lane, it reminds me of a Razer phone.
No joke, I legitimately want one super bad. The Razer Phone 2s, like I watched the release statement on that, and it was pretty crazy the stats that they were talking about.
I know, and so if you're listening, Razer, I will compare all of the things in Vainglory to the Razer Phone 2 in exchange for a Razer Phone 2.
Well, you're gonna have to work on that. I'm sure you could have a more convincing argument than that. But the game does go on, and we see that once again, Shaded Talent here with that Iron Guard contract. So much more important here in this update.
Yeah, Iron Guard is really important, especially if you're in one of those matchups where you're going to be struggling to win in sort of melee versus ranged matchups, or you're just in a poor trading matchup in the early game. The Iron Guard contract is so important at keeping your laner in a comfortable position, because obviously, as we said, Book of Eulogies has been pretty heavily nerfed, and therefore it's not going to sustain you through bad lane matchups like it used to.
Tripwires will prevent Anka from dashing forward, or no?
You have to be on the tripwires. Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. Although it might be I don't know if it's a difference between a blink and a dash, but I haven't tried it. It might be that you can actually blink. I think it might be able to go past the wires. You should be able to go past the wires. But if she's on them, she can't recast because it is silenced.
Yeah, you're silenced. Shh, very silent. Looking back up to the top lane, Maurice the Beast in the 2 versus 1. I think he's doing about as good as we've seen anybody do up in this top lane solo thus far for the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough lane to be in. Obviously, like we said, the 2 versus 1 meta is really difficult to deal with. You know, sometimes you need to have that Storm Guard banner to be able to clear those waves more effectively. As Maurice is gone, he's gone a couple of Weapon Blazes. He's got the Book of Eulogies to provide some element of sustain. But versus a Baron, you're going to eventually lose that turret. It's just about how much beating you can take and how much of the wave you can clear before Baron eventually takes that away from you.
I think it's always such a bummer to see, like, when someone does basically throw their life away trying to defend and the turret gets taken down anyway. It's like, what are the other?
Well, I think you lose that turret in a 2v1 matchup really quickly now anyway, because turret HP has gone down as well. So it's really easy to get that first turret in the side lanes broken into, and you can see it's going to happen now for Hammy and for Gaspy, and Gaspy running on the anchor this time around again to be able to provide that sort of kill threat onto LostBoyToph, which I think is going to be a real issue for him. Simply because he is really the standout carry in this game. He's the guy that's going to be putting in the pressure from the backline. Truth of Light on the weapon power Adagio will be doing similar. But, you know, Anchor is able to get to that backline and put a lot of damage out in those situations.
We did see Gaspy go off earlier on this Anka. Picked up quite a few triple kills. And just seemed to be the real answer to that kind of quad carry lineup early on in the day.
Yeah, the quad carry lineup was just really, really vulnerable to assassins. Now we've got a mix of two. I think we've really got very similar compositions coming out of both of these teams, although it is more like a triple carry threat going up against what feels like a pure double carry threat, and with two sort of bruisers on the front line for LostBoyToph's team.
Mm-hmm.
You do have Oldskool on the Gwen though. Gwen is in a really strong position because of that tension bow. And obviously when you have that empowered hit with the tension bow coming through later in the game, it turns Gwen from a single item spike carry into a very, very good late game scaling carry at the same time now. So tension bow's kind of turned Gwen into a pretty solid late game carry. I think they just ended up losing the Ghost Wing though, as I think LostBoyToph managed to get that first on rotation.
Oldskool almost stole that with an aces high. It was pretty nuts. You know, all this talk about tension bow, it's been making me think of that song by Reskillist. You know, the Taka with tension bow?
Oh, yeah.
Taka with tension bow.
I remembered that song. That was a good one.
Dude, that was so good. I think everybody should probably turn that on. At some point.
After the stream, though, you know, make sure you're here for the stream. And then
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, that goes without saying. Like, wait, for these rookie Twitch viewers? You don't close out your stream.
Oh, so it's been a bit of a tense early game here, especially for Oldschool's team, who are slowly just falling behind in gold. You can see Truth absolutely punishing Neon on this bot side of the map. Delphi and Truth just pushing onto this second tier turret. Neon just doesn't have the wave clear to contest here, and they're going to use yet another turret on this bottom side of the map.
Who cares though? He can jump all the way to the other side of the map using that ultimate. I obviously understand that he doesn't like that. Neon Fire, he walks forward not knowing where everybody was. Turn around, Impale, Truth, the Light, and Delphi. They got a kill. There's actually a fight continuing down towards the river. Nice pull by Shaded Talent to pull him off of Oldskool. Oldskool, he wants Toph, but Deceived is on the front side. Shaded Talent throws that Quibble down, finds the kill. As we get one kill for both teams, 1-1. Actually, back to top. Gaspy finds another one. That'll put up Oldschool's team 2-1, 8 minutes in.
Yeah, but in the meantime, LostBoyToph's team, Truth and Delphi, the two-man turret wrecking ball crew, have just cleared every turret off the bot side of the map now. That armory is exposed. That was a clear push of just a spell sword, it feels like, for Truth there. And now they have complete bot side control. They can move very freely into the bot side jungle. They've got great Ghost Wing coverage. They can find lots of flanking angles. This is really good for LostBoyToph.
Oldskool in a vulnerable position. Truth chasing forward, chunks him down. 3 basics put Oldskool into the dirt, and Oldskool squad up 1-0 in these finals here. And I do have confirmation, not sure if you had mentioned it or not. It is a winner takes all, 2,000 or nothing. You're either gonna walk home happy dudes or with no prize at all. You gotta be careful. Team LostBoyToph underneath the turret will be able to get themselves back safely.
Yeah, and right now LostBoyToph's team in the driving seat with about 1,200 gold in their favor, all really down to the pushing power of Truth of Light, giving them 1 tower advantage over their opposition. And this is something that they could really look to turn the screw on. If you just constantly have Truth of Light pressuring that bottom side of the map, with Delphi especially, that means you're going to be able to rotate very freely onto Ghost Wing, and always going to demand an answer from Oldschool's roster onto that bottom side of the map. They have rotated late again. They're probably going to miss out on Ghost Wing here.
I love Silvernail down in these choke points here. Now Deceived, he's in a rough place. The pull will only grab the Lyra. That's not really the target you're looking for, but the Aces High connects to combo up the damage and find the kill. Now a couple of big purchases coming out over here for Hammy. Tension Bow plus this weapon infusion. They switched their focus over to Truth. Truth caught out. I think he wound up for the verse before. No, he didn't even try to wind up for that one. Goes down too quickly. Ghost Wing will be captured by Team Oldskool Squad Galore. At 10 minutes in, they're up 4-2. Small net worth advantage as they start to build up some momentum.
Yeah, that was a really good response. I thought maybe that Toph's team had got to Ghost Wing just in time and managed to take it away before the rotation could come out from Oldschool's team, but they were very clean, very slick. A nice pick off with Yates onto Deceived into the double pull like you saw there. They pulled the same target twice, isolated them, and Deceived, unfortunately, ended up going down in that situation. And now it is all on Oldschool's team. They are the ones with the momentum, and they're trying to catch out Delphi.
Yeah, it looks like Delphi dies up in top. Yeah, Gaspy's got him, but that got a little bit hairy at the end.
Yeah, that was a really nice impale. Remember, the damage is there from Lance. He does have the spell sword, and you do have to respect that if you're Gaspy. Gaspy working towards the clockwork, the Shattered Glass clockwork, 2-item spike for the anchor now that seems to be the go-to. That's going to allow him to be a bit more free in these team fights, especially as the cooldown reduction cap has been reduced, I believe, to 35%. So you can hit that a little bit more quickly and bring yourself online in these team fights.
There should be a player named Sir Lancelot, and he's just the main Lance, you know? I feel like it's a missed opportunity here.
Yeah,
Hold
potentially.
that thought. Maybe it was a bad one. Truth, taking a lot of chunk damage. There's nowhere to go. He's done. Huge crits, put into the ground.
Yeah, and they've really figured out now that this bottom lane is going to be their Achilles heel if they do not respond to it. And whenever they get the opportunity to, then they can't really rely on Neon himself now to do this bottom lane by himself and just be able to deal with Truth, because it's impossible. 3 men in the mid lane right now.
Gaspy jumped in 3 versus 1. He goes down, but sets up his team as 2 at the end of it will fall for Team LostBoyToph and Team Oldskool. You know, the early game wasn't really going their way, Scoundrel, but they have really put things together. Maybe sacrificing the bottom lane was all part of the plan.
Maybe it was. They managed to get Hammy in a really solid position on this Baron. He was able to push up on the top side to get loads of free farm. Maybe it lulled LostBoyToph team into a false sense of security. When
Omega lulled them into a false sense.
Omega lulled them into a false sense of security. When you have bot side control, you feel very comfortable being able to group up for the Ghost Wing, because it is one of the most important objectives to rotate around in the early game.
Yeah.
So they must have felt really comfortable going for it, as we have Oldskool going very aggressive here.
Oh, School onto Truth. He smelled blood, and they ate Truth up. Nom nom noms. They'll find another one. Maurice the Beast chunked down like he was not playing on Arden there, because that Arden felt like paper. With that, Team Oldskool, they're into the Black Claw, and all momentum points to Oldskool squad taking this one 2-0 here. Of course, Team LostBoyToph still alive.
They're still in this, they still have a shot, but they are now 4,000 gold down. Lots of big item spikes being hit, 3 items on the Baron. Oldskool very close to getting towards his 3 item spike as well. He's actually invested in a little bit more defense than Hammy has, his counterparts. But Oldskool farming like a madman once more on this Gwen. The Tension Bow Sorrow Blade spike really big for her, because it allows her to do that scaling Tension Bow damage as well.
Black Claw burning through this base turret as Team Oldskool look to collapse down here. Shaded Talon, Neon Fire already in range. Wolfsmaw pulls back Maurice the Beast. He's popped before the fight can begin. Aces High allows them to go ahead and follow. Defensive Arcane Passage will go ahead and put Team LostBoyToph a little bit safer into their base and pulls back Team Oldskool. So they're going to lose Neon Fire as well. No, Neon Fire stays alive. Only Gaspy goes down. Now Delphi rolling forward. Hammy jumps straight in. He pays for his spins, dropping. In fact, it's going to get reversed as Team LostBoyToph looks like they're going to take advantage here, but Oldskool, he's got the damage. LostBoyToph is down. Oh my goodness, deceived as well. A quadra kill coming through. It's Oldskool debating Team LostBoyToph all the way in.
Gwen is such a strong carry in this meta right now, and you can see exactly why. The damage output that she has is just insane. Ghost Swing is on the table now. That should be an easy rotate for Oldskool's team, and they're back on the field. And this is cleanup duty now. $2,000 in their grasp. Winner takes all, remember, and Oldskool's team are just a few minutes from securing it.
It's crazy the net worth advantage is not that large. Kill advantage definitely is. And we're usually leaning more into that net worth advantage, but that's just not the story of this game.
Not at all. They managed to turn around their early net worth and put it back in their favor. Although there's not a huge amount of gold in Oldschool's
Delphi
pocket.
caught.
They have
550 damage into the Aces High. Oldskool just wrecked Delphi super hard.
And again, when you're playing these frontline carries like the Arden, like the Lance, and you're not investing into a huge amount of defense, you're gonna get shredded. This is exactly what Xenotech was talking about when he was on the desk. He was saying, look, if we had just got ahead with these carries, it doesn't matter that you've got an Arden and a Lance, because we will burst through them. They're building damage. This is what Maurice and Delphi have committed to in this scenario, and it means they are squishier than your traditional Lance and Arden players, and they're gonna go down if they get caught out in these situations.
Now, I'm wondering here as, we'll hold that thought for a moment, because Team Oldskool just pull the trigger on that engage. They take that top base turret. Now, things are super dangerous. You see LostBoy setting up with these spikes. A jump in super deep by Gaspy. He'll be able to go ahead and reposition back out with that Mirage. Maurice the Beast throws the gauntlet. Very early, you can see how defensive these players are feeling. Deceived. Self-healing will be just enough to keep him alive as Hammy pounds down with that rocket launcher from the Baron. Oldskool just in complete control.
Yeah, and again, they've now taken an armory. Looks like there is a push from LostBoyToph's team They know that Oldskool ended up backing there, maybe trying to isolate Yates on the bottom side of the map.
Neon Fire, what's the play? Doesn't have his ult, he's dead.
Well, there you go. Hammy now, they're going to get the weapon power buff, and again, weapon power buffs and crystal power buffs have been nerfed on 3.8. They're not absolutely necessary, but they still help a ton, and especially now that Blacklaw is the point of call as Maurice jumps in.
Gatsby jumps in, he has the Mirage, the damage to dance around, drops everybody low. Gatsby back in one more time, he's got the execute damage. And along with this Baron, they will be able to just tear through LostBoyToph squad, who thought they had a little bit of an opportunity, but it blows up in their face super hard.
They should be able to get the ace here if Hammy jumps in onto Deceived. Deceived cannot do much about this insane damage coming out from Hammy.
Magic carpet ride. Oh, oh! Deceived. Really stays alive for a long time. Will go down. That's the ace. You called it, and that should be GG, ladies and gentlemen, here for the finals of the VPL Fantasy All-Stars Week 1. This was a fun event here.
I really enjoyed it. I loved that we had a little bit of kind of light-hearted game tactics coming out from Starboy's team. I love that we saw a lot of the development of the new meta as well. We saw a huge shift in the styles of compositions being played, but definitely Baron, Gwen, the likes of Kinetic, they're all really strong on this update. And Tension Bow, as you can see, there were 7 Tension Bows in this game. 7 Tension Bows out of 10 players. I think that tells you everything that you need to know about 3.8 right now.
That's the hottest, newest team name available on the market. 7 Tension Bows. You're bound to win if you lock that team name down. But anyway, I gotta say, I had a great time. It sounds like you did as well, Scoundrel. And with that, we'll go ahead and throw it back over to the desk so these guys can break it down just a little bit